Senator Tuberville goes to war and Mike Pence is a colossal bore. Hey, for the best meat you have ever eaten, check out samsbutchershop.com. Go and shop around. When you go to checkout, enter the promo code TT for a 5% discount. Check it out. Hello, everybody. Trailer Trash Tim. How y'all doing on this fine Friday? It is good to have you here with us. Real quick, if you will, please give me a thumbs up on the video down below. Hit the little like button if you would. If you have not yet subscribed to the channel, this would be a great time for you to do so. Thank you very much for considering doing that. I appreciate all of you being here. Appreciate your comments. All the relevant information is down below. Contact information, all that. Let's get going. I'm loaded for bear. I want to talk about two things, and I'm going to have to hurry. I got a lot of information to cover, so listen quickly, if you will. Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville is creating quite a stir. Of course, as you know, I'm in Alabama. He's one of my two senators, and he's actually a pretty decent guy. Kind of like Tommy fairly well, but he's in the news because of this reason. Senator Tuberville, for several months now, has been blocking military promotions. To this date, and we're talking here, what is it, September 8th? He has blocked over 300 military promotions. Now, why would he do this? Senator Tuberville is blocking the promotions to make a point, and his point is this. He maintains that the U.S. military is giving leave to service members who are traveling to different states for abortion, and they are helping these people with the expenses of same. Now, Senator Tuberville appeared on the Laura Ingraham show on Fox News on Wednesday, this past Wednesday, the 6th. And this is what he said, and I quote him, "Right now, we are so woke in the military, we are losing recruits left and right." Secretary Carlos Del Toro of the Navy, I'm sorry, I got a bug flew into my mouth or something, pardon me, sorry. Secretary Carlos Del Toro of the Navy, he needs to get to building ships. He needs to get to recruiting, and he needs to get wokeness out of our Navy. We've got people doing poems on aircraft carriers over the loudspeaker. It is absolutely insane the direction that we're headed in our military. Hear, hear, Tubbs. Hear, hear in terms of getting wokeness out of the military. I'm all with you on that one. So he is blocking these promotions until apparently he wants some sort of guarantee from the Navy, or I don't know if this extends to the other branches or not, that they're no longer going to give leave to service members and help with expense for getting abortion. And listen, this is not unreasonable. No matter where you are on that issue, folks, I will always maintain it is not right that the government would require taxpayers who are opposed to abortion to fund such a practice. That's just common sense, if you ask me. Now, I got to doing a little bit of research because Senator Tuberville was talking about wokeness in the military, wokeness specifically in the Navy, and he was saying that they are reciting poems on aircraft carriers over the loudspeakers. And I'd not heard of this, so I had to do a little digging to find out what he was talking about. He didn't get specific in his quote, but I did a little digging and found out what he is apparently referencing. And I found that members of First in-class aircraft carrier Gerald R. Ford. We've got an aircraft carrier named after Gerald Ford. Members of the Gay, Lesbian, and Supporting Sailors Association, the Glass Association, held a spoken word event on the aircraft carrier this last November 11th. You got that? Glass. There's a Glass Association on one of our aircraft carriers, the Gay, Lesbian, and Supporting Sailors Association, and they had a spoken word event which was broadcast on the carrier this past November 11th. What were they speaking? They were reciting poetry, and they were getting in touch with their true feelings, their true selves. And they were basically just patting each other on the back, and it was just basically an affirmation session that, you know, it's okay to be who you are and all this. I read about this, and it made me want to throw up. Do you remember what the late, great Rush Limbaugh used to say about the military? I didn't agree with Rush on a lot of stuff, but he was dead on target on this matter. He said, the military exists to kill people and break things, period. And he's right about that. That is why we have a military, to simply defend our country from foreign invasion, to kill people and break things. That's why you have a military. And Rush used to rail, rightly so, against social experimentation in the military. It is not the place to be doing social experimentation. Neither are the public schools, by the way, but public schools are nothing but a cesspool. If you got a kid in government schools, get them out, folks. Let me ask you a question. If the American military is giving itself over to wokeness, what do you think the Russian military is doing? What do you think the Chinese military is doing? Do you think they're having poetry recitals on the decks of their aircraft carriers? Do you think that there is a glass association on a Russian or Chinese aircraft carrier? I kind of doubt it. I don't think they'd tolerate such a thing, because they probably understand what the purpose of the military actually is. This should trouble you if you're an American. It should piss you off if you're an American, to learn that American members of the military, American service members, have formed an alliance to celebrate an alternative lifestyle, and they get together on the deck of an aircraft carrier to do poetry recitals. What does all hands on deck mean anymore? What would happen if something drastic and devastating of a military nature were to happen to us? Are these the people defending us? Do you want these people defending you? I certainly don't. We need to end the glass in the military. Our military needs to be made up of nothing but badasses. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. That's the way it is. We need the roughest, the toughest hombres we can find serving in the military. Not a bunch of left-wing, limp-wristed, effeminate men drinking soy milk, getting in touch with their feelings. That's not the purpose of the military, folks. I could get bogged on this for a long time, but I got to flip the page, because I want to get to good old Mike Pence. You know, Trump, I'm conflicted about Donald Trump forever. Some days I love him, and some days he leaves me scratching my head. And the day he selected Mike Pence as his vice president was one of my head-scratching days. But as you know, Mike Pence is one of the, I don't know how many are in the seeking the GOP nomination, 6 or 8 of them, I guess. But he's among that lot who's seeking the GOP nomination. And he recently gave a speech that was apparently entitled On the Road to Ruin. You can find this in Axios.com. And in this speech, Pence maintains that the right's populists and the left's progressives, quote, are fellow travelers on the same road to ruin. You got that? This is Mike Pence talking. Pence said, and I further quote him, "Will we be the party of conservatism, or will our party follow the siren song of populism?" You know who he's talking about here, right? You know who he's taking shots at. But of course, he's not going to call Trump by his name. But he's talking about Trump here, obviously, because Trump is the front runner. Despite all he's going through, he's still the front runner. Pence continued, "A leading candidate," that's Trump, "last year called for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution, while his imitators have a demonstrated willingness to brandish government power to silence critics and impose their will on opponents. Unquote. Wow. Let me just say this. Pence says that conservatism embrace checks and balances while populists scorn them. The GOP risks standing for a little more than personal grievances and performance outrage. Hey, Mr. Vice President, can I ask you a question? You said in here that the leading candidate called for the termination of all rules and regulations, even those found in the Constitution. When is the last time you cared about the Constitution? Can you answer me that? When is the last time you cared about the Constitution? And where is your outrage over all the people who are still rotting in cages in Washington, D.C.? Where is your outrage about all of the election shenanigans from 2020? Where's your outrage about this? Isn't your outrage a little misplaced, Vice President Pence? When is the last time you or any so-called conservative followed the Constitution that you seem to be so concerned about now that this unnamed populist doesn't seem to want to follow? Who the hell follows the Constitution anymore anyway, Mike? You? Did you follow it the day that you cemented Biden as the new president? What exactly, Vice President Pence, is a conservative anymore? Can you answer me that? Where have we gotten in the past 20, 30 years with conservatism? I'll tell you where I've gotten with it, up to my neck, my eyeballs. Eyeballs are up here. You know who billed themselves as conservatives? Both Bushes. And I got to say, President Reagan. Now, I love President Reagan. He was the first president I voted for. But President Reagan left us with even higher deficits when he left office. Government did not get smaller under Ronald Reagan. A good man, I believe that, and I appreciate President Reagan. But the government was larger when he left office, not smaller. Check it out, it's true. You remember George Bush's brand of conservatism? What was conservative about it? Spending exploded even more. War exploded even more. The size of government got exploded even more. That's conservatism? Is that what you're talking about, Pence? Let me tell you what he's got in mind. I can peg this real quick for you. When he's talking about conservatives and the need to eschew populism and go back to conservatism where we're concerned about the Constitution, you know who he's talking about? He's talking about people like Mitch McConnell. That's who he's talking about. That's what we need. We need more Mitch McConnells. Now, I told you previously, and this is true, you can take it to the bank. When you compare Mitch McConnell, a Republican, to Joe Biden, a Democrat, you'd be hard-pressed to find a big difference. They're both for huge spending. They're both pro-war. Neither of them follows the Constitution. So, Mike Pence, when you talk about the Constitution, your words are so hollow. Where is the conservative? Whoever followed the Constitution in the last 30, 40, 50 years? I mean, where were you when these conservative presidents were flaunting the Constitution, taking us into unconstitutional wars? Were you concerned about it then, Mike? And now you come to us because Trump is a populist and, oh, he's not following the Constitution like you are. Mike Pence is just, he bores me to tears. Mike Pence, I have told people, reminds me of a gray-headed funeral home director. That's what he looks like to me. He looks like a funeral home director. He looks like somebody that just came out of a parlor after just embalming a body. Does Mike Pence inspire you? Does he inspire anybody? Do you know why Trump got into office? He got in office, yes, he's a populist. He got into office because we've had it up to our necks with conservatives who swear that they're going to follow the Constitution but never do. Look at the mess conservatives got us into. And look, I'm not railing against conservatism as a philosophy. I'm a kind of a conservative guy. Were I king, we would have a balanced budget. Were I king, we would have a small government. Were it King Tim, we wouldn't be involved in all these foreign theaters of war. Our military would be defending our coast and borders. Were I king, wouldn't that be awesome? Boy, there'd be some hooping and hollering after my coronation, let me tell you. So Mike Pence comes and assaults populism and tries to resell us again on the idea of conservatism. But his conservatism is something I'm not interested in. I can tell you that I'm a conservative. I can tell you what I mean by that, but it ain't what Pence means. Pence means let's go back to the old way of doing things. Let's go back to rules or rule by RINOS. That's what Pence wants. He wants America to be ruled by RINOS, by the McConnells, by the Bushes. Pence is just a watered-down version of Jim. This is what Pence wants. He wants the John Boehners of the world who hold hands and get along with the Nancy Pelosi's. And in 2016, enough Americans said, to hell with that, enough. Was Trump a conservative? No. But he wasn't a rhino. He wasn't somebody who billed himself as a conservative, who actually wasn't. He wasn't somebody who billed himself as being showing complete fidelity to the Constitution, yet never did. We knew what we got with Donald Trump. And we were okay with it. And we got a pretty good deal for 4 years. Yeah, it wasn't perfect, but it was sure better than what we've got now. And when Mike Pence needs to be on stage raising all holy hell against the current occupant of the White House, instead he goes on the attack against his former boss, but he's too much of a coward to call him out by name. Sorry, folks, I'm getting a little hot and bothered today, aren't I? Well, that's my take on it. So, Senator Tubbs, go to war, my friend. You're right on this issue. And Mike Pence, just go away. Go back to your Indiana funeral home. Go embalm a body, because you are boring me to tears with your rehashed playbook that just doesn't work for America. You're not going to win. You know you're not going to win. You're just in this to raise money. Trump was wrong to pick you for a vice president, but at least we know he ain't going to make that mistake again. There you go, folks, my Friday diatribe. Hope you enjoyed it. Listen, let me have your comments down below. How do you feel about Senator Tuberville? How do you feel about Mike Pence? I'd love to hear your comments down below. Share them with me if you will. Everybody go out there, have a tremendous Friday. Thank you so much for being here. This is Trailer Trash Tim. Over and out. See you tomorrow.